Hello YouTube family, Greg D here with TGN, and we are back for another DCUO discussion video. And today I want to talk about a topic that you obviously guys see in the title of this video, and it's because I get asked this question at least 3 to 5 times a day. No lie, I get asked this question all the time, and that is, which weapon is best for this power? Which weapon is best for this? Which weapon is best for that? So we're going to talk about which weapon, as of right now, July, the 3rd, 2017, we're going to talk about what weapons I think are the best by themselves, which weapons are the best for weapon mastery, or I should say what weapon masteries work the best, in my opinion, and which weapons work best for particular powers. Now keep in mind, this is my opinion. If you guys don't agree, that's fine. If you do agree, that's fine too. This is just my opinion. I'm giving you suggestions. So if you're watching this, just bear that all in mind. So with that being said, as far as weapons on their own, personally, let me actually see where the hell the things are here. So personally, as you see here, we have the list of all the weapons. So personally, by themselves, I am a huge fan of two-handed. I am a huge fan of hand blaster, and I am also a huge fan of dual pistol, if we're talking in a DPS sense. In a tank sense, I am a fan, and what works best, no matter what power you use, you want to go with something melee. So brawling, one-handed, possibly shield. Rifle is a good one for ranged attack, whether you're a DPS, a healer, a controller. Bow is also a good ranged attack if you are, let's say, controller, healer, things of that nature. Now, as far as the weapon masteries are concerned, my personal favorites are, originally, when Weapon Mastery first came out, I used Hand Blaster into Explosive Shot. That worked well for what it was, but then I found a better one, and the better one that I found after that was two-handed into Aerostorm Mastery. This one is very good, much more potent than the Hand Blaster into the Bow Weapon Mastery, so keep that in mind. And then the one that I'm currently using, and the one that I've found, at least in DPS role, is probably like top tier, a very good one, is Brawling into Martial Arts, and this is the one that I'm using currently. This is so fast, hits really hard, it really does a huge amount of damage. Another one that's actually really good is, if I can find it here, Dual Wield into Flurry Shot or Explosive Shot, depending on which one you would like to use. This one is also a very good one for DPSing, and it's, I mean, pretty much you're only going to be using weapon masteries specifically for DPSing. I mean, you may use it for something ranged like controller or healer, but for the most part, you're going to be using weapon masteries on the DPS side. So, like I said, Hand Blaster into Bow is a good one. Two-handed into Bow is better than that. Brawling into Martial Arts is probably top tier. Dual Wield into Bow, also top tier. So, with that being said, so we've covered what weapons are good by themselves, depending on what you are. We've talked about the weapon masteries. So now the power-wise. So a lot of times I get asked questions about which powers are good for, or which weapons are good for powers where you just need the rotation of powers. You don't need to use the weapons at all. So in the case of ice, mental, fire, atomic, quantum, you don't need to use your weapon. Majority, 99% of your damage, 99.9% of your damage, unless you're like totally out of power, all of your damage is going to be coming from your rotation of power. So it does not matter what weapon you use. But may I suggest that if you are someone who, let's take atomic for example. So let's say you do DPS and you tank. So what I would suggest is in the DPS role, obviously once again, you don't need to use weapon. So it doesn't matter. But if I was going to choose one, I would choose a melee weapon if I was also tanking. So maybe one-handed, maybe shield, things of that nature. So keep that in mind. So for example, like for Quantum, it doesn't matter what kind of weapon you use because all of your damage is coming from your rotation of powers in DPS role. But for controller role, maybe I would use bow. Maybe I would use, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Rifle. Maybe staff, just because ranged. You're not really focusing on damage in the alternate role, obviously. So you want to kind of stay back, make sure you're giving power to your group, and, you know, doing a little bit of damage here and there. So honestly, in those cases where you're just using your rotation as the main source of your damage, it doesn't matter. So like I said, use your alternate role as your decision. So like I said, in tank role, obviously melee weapon. In controller, healer, ranged weapons for sure. Now in the case of other powers where you're using a mixture of your powers and your weapon attacks, like sorcery, for example, earth, for example. In that case, let's kind of go back to the weapon masteries. Personally, I know a lot of people don't like using weapon masteries because they don't like giving up the critical attack chance, the 360% critical attack chance and damage. But honestly, I feel that it kind of averages out, and you do the same amount of damage with weapon mastery that you do without it. So I would suggest going back to your weapon masteries. So in the case of something like I said, sorcery or earth, I would use two-handed into bow weapon mastery. I would use the brawling into martial arts weapon mastery. I would use the dual wield into bow weapon mastery, because while you're waiting for your powers to cool down, you can hit weapon mastery. Obviously, if you have the balance of might and precision, when you are waiting for your powers that you need to cool down, you can hit a lot of damage with your weapon because you'll have the precision points. And then when everything cools down, you can use your powers. And if you have the might points, obviously you'll do a lot of damage with your powers. So I hope this kind of clears everything up. Like I said, I get this question at least 3 to 5 times every day. So I figured it was probably about time to make a video for this. So I hope you guys found it enjoyable, informative. Hopefully this gives you some idea of maybe if you're on the fence as far as what to use, maybe this gives you an idea as far as what to use moving forward. Or if you've kind of not had any idea, maybe this gives you an idea of what to use now so that you can be a better player and better in the role that you so choose to play. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more. And until next time, we'll see you soon.